Hey everybody, welcome to the Smileys, and we're at the Smileys. We're actually at home, and we're here to cook some steaks for dinner and a show, because we get so many questions about, hey, does my stove at home get hot enough to actually do the sear in the iron skillet? And we say, absolutely, yes, it does. I do it that way at home all the time. So we're going to do it here, give you the instructional video, a little coaching if you feel you need it, and show you how to do it. So here we go. And I'm going to give you a little bit of conversation about it and have a little bit of fun with it. But first things first, you got to get ready, right? Just like everything else, you got to get your mise en place, as we call it in the business. It doesn't really translate, it's a French word, but it means get all your little things together, get everything you do. First off, got to relax a little bit. And also got to introduce Jennifer behind the camera today. Hey, Jen.
Hey.
But, you know, hey, relax. We've got the Primitivo here today. This is what I'm having. But we have the whole lineup down at the shop. You can come in and talk to us. We've got great steak wines. But, you know, hey, relax a little bit. You get uptight with a steak, steak's going to get uptight with you. But we've got some other things. We've got our cutting board to present on, our cutting board to cut on. We've got a thermometer here. You can have an instant read, or this is a little dial that I'll give you a little tip on. Our skillets over here, our ingredients, and then when we get over there, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Safety. This is first things first. Safety, 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 safety. You will get your house smoky, so we're going to have to be very careful. I'm going to turn my fan on in a minute. It's going to make a big racket, so the whole environment's going to change, so I'm going to start talking loud and all that. So I'm going to turn that on in a minute. You could set your smoke alarms off. I have before. I decided to have a late dinner one night at about 11 o'clock. Didn't have my fan on and woke the whole house. That was a fun night, wasn't it, Jen?
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you have a fire extinguisher close by. Should have one anyway in your kitchen at all times, you know. That one I've never needed, knock on wood. Doesn't mean you won't need it at some time. But we are going to cook on a high temperature. And we are going to have fat, so you always have a potential for flames, so for fire. So make sure you have a fire extinguisher close by. But we're going to talk about how to prevent all that down the road. But make sure you have the mechanism to put that out. And you need to have a good side towel, okay? Because we're going to be touching hot stuff, and you don't want to burn your hands. So always be conscious of that. So there we go. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is our iron skillets. We've got cast iron skillets that we're going to cook in. These are heirlooms, family heirlooms. One of them came from my grandmother. I think one of them came from Jennifer's grandmother. They are fantastic heirlooms. They conduct heat very well. Maybe not perfectly evenly, but they carry it, they hold it, and things don't stick when we get them seasoned perfectly. We'll talk about how to season them in a different video or something down the road. But I've already got them on. They've been on for about 10 minutes. They're on medium right now. We'll crank them up when we get over there. So I'm going to give you a little tip about the thermometer thing. Jen, if you want to walk over here a little bit, I'm going to show you what we got in our Smiley cup, right? Okay, got to have the Smiley stuff going on. So I've got to get the OG glasses on so I can see what's going on. But you can see the dial here, and it's come right down there to 32 degrees, right? But what we have in the glass here, in the cup, is ice water. So we know that water freezes at 32 degrees. So we fill it with ice water, we stick it in here, and we let it come down to 32 degrees. And that's our constant. So if in fact it doesn't get to 32 degrees, they get out of calibration quite frequently. There's a little nut here on the back, and that's your adjustment. You can always adjust them with like your kitchen shears, or sometimes they come with their sleeve. There's a little wrench on the back of it, but you could put them right in your kitchen shears and close it like so and hold them like this, and then twist your face until it hits 32 degrees. But ours is in calibration, so we're good. And like I said, you drop it on the floor, you go from hot to cold, they change regularly. So we know we're in good shape, so let's take it out, put it down, let it come to room temperature naturally. So, well, come on over, Jen, let's talk about what we have over here. So we've got our iron skillets on the stove. They're medium high. You can feel the heat. You can really see the heat. See that little ring of white in there? They are hot. You can feel them up here, okay? We have a basting spoon, some neutral oil, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Whole butter, our two steaks, some fresh thyme. Okay, that's all we really need for this, and some salt over here. The oil is very important. We don't want to use an olive oil. I have seen so many folks use olive oil. I am totally against it. It will, even if you're using a pomace, which we'll address different olive oils in a different video. But olive oil has a very low smoke point. It will flash, it will burn, it will give you an acrid off flavor. So we want to use a neutral oil. This is soybean oil. We can use canola oil. We can use peanut oil. Will impart very little, if any, flavor. Really high flash point, which means it's very safe or safer than any of the other oils that have lower smoke points or flash points. And that's what we want to try to avoid. That's one of the safety things when we're putting it in the skillet. If the skillet is too hot, we don't want to hit it with a fat that will ignite when it hits the skillet, okay? Another thing is water. We need to be very careful about mixing water and oil when it gets together, because that will also cause a flash, okay? So be very careful with that. So that's the thing. All right, so the next case is we're just gonna salt these steaks a little bit. I don't do much seasoning before we cook. I like to season afterwards, but we're gonna just salt the top of these steaks here. Turn over, salt the other side. Okay, so we're about ready to go in with it. And the butter is just straight up whole butter, all right? That's Pelugra, which is a European butter, has a little bit higher butter fat. You can use regular butter. Whole butter, sliced and ready to go. We're gonna baste with it at the end. So we're gonna go right in here on these medium-high heats. I might turn it back just a little bit, but the good tip is whenever we go in with our oil, we're gonna go in with our oil first and then go in with the steak, okay? So we put the oil in. You're gonna wanna take the skillet away from the flame or turn the flame down to try to avoid any spillage, which can also cause a flame. So first thing we're going to go in with today is our filet or Chateaubriand, okay? So this is about what this is going to look like when you get it. This is the 1-for-1, and it's on the big head of the filet. Yours, if you get 1-for-2, it's going to be almost twice this size, and the filet comes down, tapers down to a tubular to a small end. So I want you to take this and I want you just to smash it a little bit, get it flat, okay? And this is the way we used to do it in the hotel. Today they've changed them a little bit. This is a French classical dish, the Chateaubriand for 2. But we're going to flatten it out like this, and then when we get done, we're just going to slice it across like this, okay? So we're going to go like this. We're going to get her flat. Put it back down over here, okay? And then, like I said with the oil, if you've got an electric, so I've done this on electric, I've done it on induction, right? All of them have the BTUs to make this work. So I'm just going to turn the heat all the way off on mine. I'm going to go in with one of my basting spoons of oil. The oil is going to be a conduit for the heat, okay? Always lay it in, lay it away from you, and it's going to crackle. And then get your heat back up, all right? Medium high. As soon as you hit that skillet with that cold steak, it's going to sap the heat out of it, okay? So you need to get your heat back. So this is where you're going to manage your heat actively as you're cooking it, okay? So you can turn your heat back up pretty high here to recover the heat. And then as we keep cooking, we can reduce the heat going forward, all right? So this is where you make sure you got your towel in your hand, because this is as hot as that. So let's move that over here. We're going to do the same thing with the porterhouse. Yeah, I'm going to walk towards you a little bit. Show you the porterhouse. This is the New York strip side. This is the filet side, okay? Now, same thing on this side. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to place it in the skillet exactly the same way as we did the filet, and they're going to cook identically. In this case, I'm going to pull it away. This is where you can really push down on it, get it down. But after this initial punch, you don't want to press on it because you'll press the juices out of it. Be very careful of splashes. It will splash up and burn your wrists, burn your arms. I've done that several times. All right. I like to turn my steaks with tongs. You can turn them with a spatula, but I don't like to flip them and let them flop because they can splash. So you want to flip and let. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Jen, you want to catch some sizzle in there? Show them how they smoke? That's beautiful. So you want to let them go. Don't worry them. Let them cook. You want to get a good sear on the outside of them. The way to go. Now I've got my fan on. As I said earlier, you can see it. You want to, or hear it, I say. See it. You can see it with your ears, right? Let that smoke evacuate. It makes a racket, but we're not going to let it go for too long. This is where you might want to take a sip of the wine. Relax, keep you from worrying it. Certainly glad you joined us today. I'm looking forward to Chuck and the trio this evening. We got Glenn Butts and Chuck Brazier. Todd Brazier. I said Chuck, didn't I? Todd Brazier tonight, right? Yeah, he's on the bass, and I'm not sure whether he's going to bring both tonight. Whether he's going to bring the electric or he plays the acoustic, the big thing too. It gets down, boom, 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 boom. It's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, I'm going to flip this fillet. So again, just get up under it and flip it away from you, and see that beautiful sear on the outside. That's gorgeous. So we've got a good heat going on in here. I've got this one. This skillet, I'm really happy with the temperature in this skillet. You can see it's not overly crazy hot, but it is good and hot, right? So we're okay. And you can move it around in here. This is where you get to have a little fun. Watch it. Find the hot spots in your skillet. Get it on the hot spot. Let it sear. If you feel like it's getting too hot, you put it back, okay? And this is, you know, nice. You learn from mistakes. So don't be afraid to have fun with it. Don't be afraid to, you know, mess up every once in a while. But if you know how you like to cook your steak, you'll have fun. You'll get the handle on this. So here's where we want to talk about how we get them done. And this is how I like to check them. And I've done this for years, and you'll get used to it. Make the okay sign, right? And put your forefinger and thumb together, and right there. That's rare. It's no muscles tensed up. It's just almost jelly-like and resilient. Come down to your in between your thumb and first knuckle, and that's medium rare, right where it's starting to firm up. Down to your first joint there, where it's just getting where it's resilient, and it comes back where it's boom boom. That's medium, and then down in between here where it's really firm. Those are your well done. So if you practice that, you can do that. You can also use your thermometer, and that's why I got it out. But 120 to 122 is rare. 122 to 128 is medium rare. 128 to 135 is medium. And then above that, we start getting into our well done. So I'm going to flip this T-bone now. Flip it over. And there we go. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Love it. All right. So I'm going to touch this baby, and you can feel the crust. All right. So look at that crust, man. Look. It's still rare. You can see how it stays in there, but man, that outside, that's going to be good. That's called the Maillard reaction, and it's where the proteins and sugars kind of caramelize. All right, so you can also cook this on all four sides. So you kind of want to get it up, get it to stand on end a little bit if you can. put it up against the side there and get it cooking from that side. This one. So we're just about to the basting point. And for the sake of time here, we are really close. So what we're going to do now is turn this heat back to about medium. This one as well. We'll take it back to medium, and we're going to put some butter in. Jen, you want to get this here? See how this works? This is what we're going to do. Now, this is also going to cool your skillet down. You see that butter popping up? We're going to do that. And then we're going to put some of that, let that time popping. All right. So, get your drag again. All right, now. This is going to give it a real nutty, toasty, buttery flavor, and we just baste right over top. Oh my goodness! Oh wow! That is beautiful. All right, all right. Flip it over. All right, turn your heat off. This pan's going to hold a lot of heat, so let the residual heat go in there. We're going to do the same thing over on our T-bone. I'm going to turn it off now and let that happen because it has cooked a little bit longer. Smell that time lighting the room up, Jen? Isn't that beautiful? And here we go, same deal here. Oh man, so fragrant. You see it's bubbling. When it stops bubbling, you want to put, if you're doing it and you're losing the bubble, you probably want to put some more butter in it because you've either gotten it too hot or it's not hot enough. You can tell because whether it's hot or not, right? But this also will help you manage your heat in your skillet, okay? So there we go. All right, little base there. Turn it over. See what happens when it splashes? So be aware of it. All right, see how this did not sear real well? That's because your bone pulled away. And that happens. Don't be afraid of it. That's why we have the fat in the skillet. It runs up and conducts your heat. We're going to serve it on the other side, all right? And we can flip it, and your butter will help us get this a little more brown. And see how it's starting to stop bubbling. We could turn our heat back up if we chose to and continue to caramelize this outside, but I don't want to because I want this to stop cooking right now. So I'm going to leave it the way it is, okay? And I think we're done, all right? Fire's off, all right? Now, so for the sake of stop cooking, we're going to pull them out onto this plate to rest. All right, there we go. So, aren't those gorgeous? Between that and the smell. So these skillets are done smoking. I'm going to shut that down. And we're going to bring these right over here. And here's what I want you to do at home. But for the sake of time today and not having to splice the video, we're going to cut them. But I want you to let them rest for about 10 minutes, okay? And what that does is allow them to redistribute their juice all the way back through them. And I want you to do the same thing when you pull them out of the refrigerator before you start to cook them. Very importantly, I want you to let them come to room temperature because the same thing needs to happen before we cook them. They'll come to room temperature, all the fibers will relax, and they'll cook very evenly. We don't want them cold on the inside and warm on the outside. So rest before and rest after. But for the sake of time, we're going to cut this right now. Bone goes like this and bone straight down the middle. So first thing we do is cut the fillet off this side, right around the bone. Okay. Okay. And then right down the bone on the other side, cut the New York strip off. And right out this side. Okay. Let's take that and we're going to put it right there in the middle of our serving platter. Then what we're going to do is give this a cross cut. Not too thin, okay? A little bit of an angle. Look at that medium rare. Now, if we were to let this sit, that would balance out. It wouldn't be so rare in the inside. The residual heat would allow it to penetrate in the middle and balance the color kind of through and through. But we didn't do that, so we're going to have to deal with it kind of being off a little bit like that. But that's the consequence we pay for accelerating time. But if you let yours rest just the way we talked about, you're going to come out just perfect. So let's line this back up. See? And let's go slide under it just like that. Put it right down there just like that. Line that puppy up. Now we're going to do the same thing with our filet mignon. See which way this goes back in there. All right. Which is my bone side. That's my bone side. So I'm going to go this way with it. Look at that, man. That puppy is gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? And line that thing right back up in there just like that. And there we go. All right, everybody. So then, you've got your sauce for it, you've got your baked potato for it, you got your salad. We are on time. So here we go, Chateaubriand. We can do the same thing, just like this. So we flattened it out, just a little bit of an angle, right? All right, same deal here. Let's shingle it up a little bit, slide our knife underneath it, and well, let's make us a little bit of room right here. Slide that up, and we have our chateau. And there we are. Look at that. A little bit of salt maybe on that. And salute from Smiley Brothers. We look forward to spending dinner and a show with you. Thanks so much.